Okay, in this video we're going to show you how to be a very productive loan processor, and we're going to start with how to manage files. And we suggest that you assign yourself or have somebody assign a processor on a file. So there's a couple ways of doing that. So click on the green folder icon from the pipeline, and you'll see this little person icon. You can click on that and you can select, a processor, and there you go. You just assigned a processor to this file. So you can assign it from this pipeline. You can also do it from the dashboard. There's that same little icon there. And of course, from the loan file itself, you can do it in the admin tab. So there's three areas that you can assign someone to a file. And you can assign many people to a file, an underwriter, a processor, etc. And by doing that, these back office users that are assigned can benefit from using my assigned files, which is basically the same pipeline, but limited view to only files that you're assigned to. And this is nice because I don't want to look at 1,000 loan files that don't relate to me, only the ones that I'm assigned to. You can even set a permission on each user profile and say, hey, they're only allowed to see files that they're assigned to. That's a privacy setting, if you will. Sometimes you have a contract processor, they have no business seeing any loan file that they're not assigned to. So keep that in mind. So next, what are some things that a processor should be doing, right? When the file's assigned to them, they're very likely following, the loans that are in certain tabs here, processing, underwriting, or I can go to the all view and see everything that's assigned to me. And from your pipeline view, another pro tip would be to make sure you play with your preferred settings, your custom view, if you will, on the pipeline. So you can click right here and I can choose what columns of data that I want to see. So as a processor, I might care about certain things like status, how long it's been sitting in a particular status, who's the assigned loan officer, right? So all these checkboxes control what columns you see. And if you click here, you can drag and drop the order of the columns that you want. And then you can set that as your default view. And let me see, this just gives you the options to set what search filters you want to be able to search your files by. Okay? And then you can save that view and then name it. So that way you could have many different views. So if you want to pivot and go to different views, or maybe you have different views for different types of loans, you can do that here. There is one column that's helpful. Let me go here, columns. I like to see workflows. So I just turn that on, update my current view. And what that does is it gives you this workflow column, and you can see really quickly what steps have been completed or not completed yet, just from the pipeline view. So that's helpful. When you are working inside of a file, okay, and we go, I think the most important job of a processor, and underwriter for that matter, is going to the Docs tab and reviewing everything. And so you have the Docs tab. These are all the buckets or categories of docs that you need to be reviewing for this file. You can see here which ones are back office only or borrower loan officer friendly docs, right? Inside you can see like this right here, operating agreement has 3 files uploaded, so we do support multiple files uploaded. If some of them are not needed anymore, you can delete them, but quickly here you can review and open up each one of those files. And then your job is to mark them as completed, pending, needs review, needs manager review. These statuses here are customizable, and you can set the color code for them. You would find that feature as an admin manager in the system. You would go under doc statuses here. That'll be a separate tutorial, but that's where you would go to control these options and color codes and whether or not it's still available to upload by the borrower, and detailed settings like that. But yeah, as a processor, you're going to want to disposition the status of these documents, and then always get in the habit of making notes. These 3 columns are for notes. The first 2 are going to be borrower facing. That means the borrower will be able to see these in the doc portal area. So just give you a quick view. I clicked on that share file. This is a quick way to just get to this is like what a borrower would see, when you send them a link to upload docs and the status of their loan. It's a little mini portal landing page, encrypted URL, no login required, and they can see all the items, the status of them, and then you see the borrower notes. You can mouse over that. You can see what the underwriting conditions were. Again, so make sure you put borrower friendly notes in one of the 2 columns there. And if you need to have internal conversation, then we suggest that you use the internal notes. Okay. This required column here lets you know that these docs are required to complete this file. As you might have already learned in the tutorials, that all these docs can be set automatically displayed and conditional to the loan program or the property type, internal loan program, etc. And if you need to turn something off that's no longer needed or whatever, you can turn that off. And I'll just turn one off. Say we don't need the GC license for whatever reason. I click that. Now there's an X there. We don't need it. But if we ever need to bring it back, you can always click on. These are all the deactivated docs, and you can always click on them to re-enable them in the future. Additionally, you can click the plus icon, and now you can add additional documents on this particular loan. Put the name, put the description on it. If there's some type of document that you want to upload that they have to review, fill out, and sign, or a link to a template of some sort that they can download, again, those are options. And then, of course, when you're making a new document, go ahead and notify anybody, including the borrower, the co-borrower, anybody on your team, etc. Okay? So that's kind of how you manage the docs conditions on a loan. So from here, another important area of, once you get all your dispositioning done, you want to hit the compose email. And we have templates. In your account, you would see them under the standard templates, but these are the ones that you guys have custom made. So, for example, loan status required docs. Beautiful template here, ready to go with all the items that are missing and needed. FYI, there is a merge tag that controls this table to display everything. If you want to have a version of this that only shows required docs, not the completed ones, you can set that up with a different merge tag that displays just those missing docs. The key here is when you set this to the borrower, or you CC, the loan officer as well, or anybody, right? I love this feature right here. Do you want to automate the email? Yes. Send this out every day, every other day, once a week. You can choose custom dates, right? I like every weekday. but only send it out when it's in processing or underwriting, right? These are your loan stages here. And that's it. You click send. This will go out every day so long as the file's in this status. And the bar will be getting a fresh, updated email showing them all the items that are still pending and missing and needed. Okay? All right, so the next thing I want to show you to help keep people, efficiently working and collaborating, moving the file forward, is you go to the Workflows tab. These are your workflow steps. Obviously, workflow steps are customized for your account, and they can be dynamic as well. So like, based on the loan program, the investor on the loan, property type, all those various conditions will set whether workflow steps are required or not. And I break these out like, application workflow. I blended processing and underwriting together. This is starting to become very preferential to how each company wants to work. Closing workflow, post-closing workflow, right? How to manage your draws. But, a workflow has workflow steps. The workflow steps can be conditional to the loan parameters. And this was what keeps everybody in check and in sync. Nothing falls through the cracks. Make sure you're checking off these steps. If you want to leverage the color codes, right, what you'll do is click on that icon there, and then you can change the status, make your notes, notify anybody of this important note that you might have made here, and that's how you keep everybody informed of what you're doing in real time. These tooltips are extremely helpful. Um, for example, review signed rehab budget. Do you see that little description tooltip? I love those. On the admin level, system settings level, you can create your tooltips. That really dummy proofs what needs to happen, who needs to do it, why they need to do it, and give them granular details behind each step. So that way there's no room for error, right? So get in the habit of putting lots of tooltips so everybody can refer to that and not make any mistakes, right? Um, you can find that under system settings, required docs, and there's a separate tutorial for how to do that. So you're checking off your work that you've been doing. Keep in mind that workflow steps can have automations. Again, that's a separate tutorial, but I want to highlight the importance here that, like, as I check off certain steps, you can actually have automations run that will send off an email notification to, let's try to create a real scenario here. So let's just say, I want to do something with appraisal related. Review preliminary HUD, order title commitment. I don't know why I don't see appraisal in here, but let's just go with title commitment. Run title lien search. So when I check this off, if I wanted to have a trigger go off that emails the loan officer, the broker, the borrower, right, letting them know that, hey, we have ran the title lien search, so they get an instant communication that we're moving on that particular item. You can also create a task that follows up. Remind me as a processor to follow up in 3 days to get my title work done, right? And follow up with the title company. I can also trigger an email to the title rep or the appraisal rep, right? And it will send the order request. So do you see where I'm going with this? Like, on one simple check, the workflow step is notifying everyone, sending an email request, ordering the title or the appraisal or whatever, and a task is created for me to follow up. So when I go to my task list, and these tasks will also send email reminders and SMS reminders. And you can see here that I have some open tasks on this file. I have some automation tasks as well. We separated them. I'm a strong believer that when people get carried away with many automation tasks, I don't want to discount them. They are important, but there is a clear separation. If somebody like a human makes an effort to create a specific task, I don't want it to be buried in all the automation tasks, right? I just wanted to have a clear separation. So the top list is like people generated tasks, and you can remind yourself, you can make a manual task for yourself to do something, or a processor can tell an underwriter to do something, or vice versa. And again, just reminding you that automation tasks are all like just system generated tasks that were rules based. Okay? And so definitely leverage your tasks. And so that's going to help you be extra productive. An additional pro tip for productivity, check out this activity log. When I click that, this is like the pulse of your entire company. This is showing you every granular activity that's occurring. And you can filter it by show me all the borrower uploaded docs in chronological order. So you can see here the borrower, Austin, 1 day ago, uploaded these items. The file's still in new application, and there's a link to the file right there, so I can go straight away to that. You can see broker uploaded docs, employee uploaded docs, etc. Which e-sign docs have been completed. Okay. If I just want to see which notes have been made, which activity has been occurring, right? And so if I'm a manager, I'm probably going to see everything globally. If I'm a processor with only assigned files, I'm only going to see the activity here related to my files. So what a great way to just be in the know and not be blindsided with stuff happening that you don't really have access to or see in real time. Okay? If I just want to filter by loans that are in processing, now I'm just going to see all the activity for loans that are in processing. Okay? And lastly, I want to highlight an important thing to do, right? This platform is cloud-based. It's highly collaborative between everybody, right? So take advantage and make notes as often as you can, right? So you can enter notes here. We even have categories of notes, okay? You can make a general note, billing related, servicing related, lender notes, servicing, workflow, draw related, right? So you can make your notes here. You can say, is this a private or public note? So that way, if, private notes is only for folks that in their permission settings are allowed to see private notes. So that way borrowers won't see it, and and or anybody who's not allowed to see private notes, borrowers, brokers, sometimes loan officers. It's your choice on who's allowed to be allowed to see these private notes. And then obviously when you make a note, you can choose to notify. You can do email and SMS, and you can send it with the full history, so they'll see the whole note logs when you check that off. And you can choose who you want to notify on these notes that you're making. Okay. Another cool tip is that that's kind of like the master note history of everything, but you can make a note, for example, in the workflow step, right? So when I make a note here, well, guess what? Yeah, it lives right here inside that one workflow step, but it also gets stored and is visible in the master notes log as well, right? So that's also applicable to, let's say, under the docs tab, right? So workflow steps get their own notes synced up to the master notes log. Same thing with required docs. If I make a note, here, these notes that I'm making under the required docs section, they also get saved and display here. Okay? So get in the habit of always making notes so everybody can see it. And no one's a mind reader, right? So take advantage of this cloud-based system and be very detailed with all your notes. You can always mark a loan as favorite, and when you do that and you go to your pipeline, you'll see that little star icon on the files that are your favorite. You should be able to filter that somewhere in your statuses, and you also have your priority, so you can mark certain loans as high, medium, low priority, things that are sensitive. It's nice when you start managing, dozens of files at a time. It's nice to be able to have some level of priority over others, so you give extra attention to certain loan files. And so you can set priority. That's typically occurring here in the admin tab. And here you can set the priority right here, high, medium, low. Okay. One more important thing for loan processors would be ordering credit and background check. So what you do is you go to third-party services. Obviously, you have to have things set up with like some type of CRA, credit reporting agency. But once you have it set up properly, you'll be able to order tri-merge credit for the borrower, co-borrower. They do have like a business credit report, AVM on the property, flood, and background check as well. So these are the services that you can order. We'll be adding more over time, and we'll be supporting different vendors over time as well. And so yeah, that's where you order third-party services. In some cases, if we don't have the vendor of your choosing, you might want to consider using our webhook feature. So under settings, you have automations. You can create, webhooks, and maybe you want to order title from Qualia or some type of third party. Maybe ordered loan docs, Andelsman Law, or so basically you create a webhook. So the vendor you work with has to give you some type of endpoint that will receive the information, right? So for example, you can see here all these fields are being passed over to Zapier, which is then pushing into Andelman's Law endpoint to receive it and then spit back some loan docs to you, um, typically via, come back to you via email of some sort.